to do 4 apps in 4 weeks. And I posted it on Twitter and on my blog and submitted it to Hacker News. And then somebody on Twitter said, well, this sucks. He says, well, I want to see you make 1 app in 4 weeks. There's enough crap already. And I completely agree. So this is my story of how I did 1 app in 4 weeks. Right. Yeah, that's the right time. So I went to Spain. This is where I stayed, among other places. It was really beautiful there, very relaxing, a good environment to work. Some people didn't believe I worked, but I did. So I started this journey, and I wanted to blog about it every day, so I could show people how you would build an iPhone app, and then not about the code. There's no code in this presentation, sorry, but about mostly the other things. Yeah. So on my first day, I wrote a post explaining the 3 ideas I had for apps. And one of the problems I have is building an app that people actually want to use, because that's always hard. I mean, everybody can build apps, but it's something that people will use. So the first idea was to use the iPad as a tool to explain a concept. For example, a mathematical concept, calculating integrals, for example, or something else, and make it really interactive, beautiful, tutorials, exercises, stuff like that. The second idea I had was to make interactive iPhone prototypes. There are some tools for that on the iPad, but they're not really nice, and somebody asked me, like, why doesn't this app exist? So I figured that's another good idea. And the third idea is for people like me who meet a lot of people, an app to make notes on other people. So, for example, I would meet somebody and he just got a baby, and I just want to write it down in the app. So the next time I'm meeting that person, I can ask, hey, how's your baby? If I don't remember. And it's more the small details. So this is what I posted on my blog, and people responded, and most people were in favor of idea number 3. So that's what I set out to build. And I called it check-in to people. So when you meet a person, you can check in with the person, just like on Foursquare you can check into locations, and you can make a note, and the app records it. It's very simple. And I did some research, and there were existing apps, these apps, Fellow, Hashable, and Whip, and they were all quite nice, and they did something similar, but they were really based on social media. So you would go to find the person on Facebook and then check in, or on Twitter. And I always meet people who are not on Twitter or on Facebook. And I don't want to share this information if I make private notes about somebody with other people. So I figured I'll do it offline and use the address book. And there's no connection with the internet whatsoever. So my minimum viable product. Because I only have 4 weeks to build the app and also promote it, build the website, etc. I have to make the product really minimal. So the first functionality that you have is to check in. So you can add a meeting with a person and add some notes. Then you want to review. You want to find the people that you meet and then find what you wrote on them. Or you want to see like what happened in the last week. And then the third thing is search. And that should be it. And the business model is easy. You just charge money for the app. I charged $4, so about €3, I guess. I don't know exactly, but it's quite expensive. And I'll show you how it worked at the very end. And I started with some sketches and ideas. This was on the beach in Malaga. I was sketching here, and it's a bit horrible to have Steve Jobs' name over there. But this was before he died and before anybody knew, so I was just writing it, and I wanted to include the real pictures. So on the left you see the check-in screen, and you can add people's names, just like in Mail. You can see the location. I wanted to do that using the Foursquare API. And you can add some notes, and the camera, there's a camera button on the right, where you can add pictures as well. And then on the right, you can see somebody's page like Steve's page, you see all the meetings below the shirt. It's very, very simple. There's nothing magical or difficult there. But that's how it started. Then I built the first version, and I'm always a bit embarrassed to show versions like this. This is, of course, very ugly. Other text should be gray on the left. But you just see the standard table view, coordinated table view, and a simple screen, and there's like a note, and I made a yellow background, which is horrible and a horrible font. But this was the first version, and this is all these things I posted them on my blog and told people my thoughts on them. And I got a lot of comments from people just helping me out with ideas. Then I added tabs, and you can see it's hard to see the group table views style. So things are grouped by date now, and then the contacts, contacts show the contacts you've met. So I've added like 5 meetups with myself, but I only show up once, of course. So that's fairly easy. Then I added selecting people. So in the first version, if you remember, it worked similar to Mail app, where you can add multiple people, and also the selection works like this. So you just start typing somebody's name, and it shows the list. So I have to use the address book API. Originally, I used the address book person select controller. I don't remember the exact name, which is a bit horrible because it takes a long time to find somebody, and this is a lot faster if you want to find somebody quickly. So I had to implement that. And then I went on designing. So the programming is easy, we can all do this. Designing is very hard, at least for most of us programmers. So I went on designing, I started Photoshop, and I spent an entire day, and at the end I got this. And yeah, you can laugh. It's, I was really frustrated because I see all these beautiful apps, and I want to make a beautiful app too. And I want to make it perfect, and like with the grains, textures on top of it, of the navigation bar, stuff like that. And it's difficult to do that. It's hard to see on the beamer, but there's all kinds of noise. I added, and well, it was the end of the day, and I figured, well, this is horrible. This is I can't do this. I'm actually so embarrassed. I didn't want to post this on my blog. So this is the first time anybody sees it. I have to dig up the Photoshop file. So I figured one of my big inspirations and one of the most beautiful apps I know is Tweety. And Tweety uses all the standard iPhone controls. And I figured if it's good enough for Lauren Richter, then it should be good enough for me as well. So I deleted all the design work I'd done and used the standard Apple controls again. And while I was posting about this, people were like, yeah, this check-in things is really confusing. You should call them meetups. So it was really nice. I agreed with them immediately, but I never realized it myself. And by just posting posting about it, people helped me to form the app and form ideas in the app and really important things. So from now on, it was called Meetups. And I had to think of a name for the app. So I came up with 2 names. One is Meetups, very simple, and the other one is James. James is like a butler who helps you remind things you want to remind. And he even has a nice inspiration for a logo or style. And I really like James. So I posted about it, and people answered me like, yeah, you have to go for meetups, you have to go for meetups. And one person, no, you have to choose James. And then somebody emailed me, no, it has to be completely different. So this is what I wrote on my blog. Like, send me an email or message me, what do you think of these names? And then somebody sent me an email and said, you have to call it Matt. And I was immediately inspired, because Matt is like the person you met. But also in Dutch, it means with, which is just awesome. It's very short, very minimal. The colors don't come out bright on the screen, on the beamer. And I immediately started to design a splash screen. And I was just, I really liked the name. So this is a splash screen, and then you might think, okay, yeah, that's nice, a splash screen, but you have to show an empty UI. It's a lot better, and I agree. And it is, because there's a passcode lock in it. And then I wanted to share with you one technical detail, and that's if you do build your own passcode lock, don't use NS user defaults because it's unsafe, you might get hacked. You can use the keychain, and there are nice wrappers that are similar to NS user defaults if you don't want to learn the keychain API because it's hard. So here's your technical. So I sent out the beta, and I got a lot of comments from people. Some people tested it really, really well, like Peter and Yoko, thanks. And some people didn't test it that well. So one of the things I had is I didn't implement swipe to delete because I figured it's hard to discover and people don't really know the pattern, maybe only developers. So I added a delete button on every check-in. And people ask me, why is there no swipe to delete? Why is there a delete button that clutters my screen? So I implemented swipe to delete again. Another thing I never noticed, I'm not a real perfectionist, and that's why blogging also helps me. It forces me to do this and to make the app right, is that in a UI table view cell, the highlighted text color was wrong. It was black, and if you have a blue background, you have to have a white text color. So that's another thing. If you meet with a person and you view those notes on that person, you want to go to the address book. I never realized that, to the address book page of that person. And that was how I was afraid that that's the screen rotation support, because that of course involves a lot of work if you want to do it exactly right. So all these things I got from the beta, and I never realized, well, sort of realized I had to do them, but I never would have figured it out on my own. Yes?
Which ones did you say no?
Okay. Facebook integration, Twitter integration, basically any kind of integration. Meet up with multiple people. What else? Search, but I'll come to that. Yeah, lots of other things. But these are all things that I did. Okay. So I think it's really good to ask for feedback, but you don't have to. Tabs, and you have the people grouped by date, the meetup grouped by date. And you can add me up. Then, if you select a person who looks almost like me, that's no coincidence. If you can edit the text, and you can see the details. The context you already saw that. And here's another thing that I noticed. If you go to context, you can, of course, add a meetup for that context, so you don't have to select the person again. But another thing somebody told me is, okay, if I go to context, and if I have a couple of meetups with the person, I want to know that text. And what I did instead, I had these nice UI table view cells, which were like the table view container one for both context and both reason. and they had the same row height, and I like that. And then if you click on a meetup, you go to the second screen showing the details, and now this person wanted to not click, and he's completely right. I mean, simple. And there's one person who uses it regularly. So I was a little bit afraid that I had built something nobody wanted.
How did you measure that?
Sorry?
How did you measure that?
That's 15 meetups at it. So that was a bit scary. Like almost every day, and it's really handy for me. Okay, so some more designs. So one of the things I did, which was as I told you, I'm not a perfectionist, which was hard for me is like if I do rotate. There's a problem with this because you can edit the dates and the time. And I didn't want to add a button because there was already 2 buttons there. So I made the labels clickable. And that's of course horrible UI because nobody can discover it. But I still did it and released it, and in the next version I'm gonna, if there's the first meetup you're adding, I'm gonna add like an overlay, a gray overlay on the white part to say this is clickable. And once you've clicked it, I'll remove it. But yeah, that's the kind of decisions I made to get it out. Okay, so I've sort of finished the app. There were some things I still had to do. And I went to design a website. And here you can see my website design skills. This was for the first app I did, the first independent app I did, Track Me, which is a GPS tracker. And it's horrible. Well, I mean, it works. It's just... So I investigated. So I really liked this website, Cocktails, for the Cocktails app. I don't have the app, but it's nice. And then there's the flight card app website, which I also really like. Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to see. It's better on my screen, but there's like nice buttons there. And then the Eve app, I really like this hand that. Scientific, it's just the common things of these websites that I liked. So they have screenshots displayed very prominently, and all the screenshots have an iPhone frame around them. And if you remember the website that I showed you that I made, there's just the screenshots which scroll. And the iPhone is often shown on a background, like there's something behind it, or it's at least there's like a reflection, so it's part of the website. And below the title, there's always a good one-sentence explanation, like your flight pass reinvented. And then it starts with the important things, and there's very, very little text on most websites I like. So that's how this works. So I made this website. Well, it doesn't work on a small screen, but it's you have the background with people meeting each other, and you see this text, the logo, and a big icon, and available on the absolute.net. That's about it. Very simple. Okay, so when I did TrackMe, the first app, I had very good experiences with writing a press release. Well, to be honest, I didn't write it. I asked my friend who's a tech writer to write it for me, and weeks and blogs about it, and explain about the app, and a screenshot. On Twitter, and I had like 8 sales. And then the second peak is when I posted it on Hague News, like my story. So that's Hague News. And then I got some more, like a few sales, and in the last 4 days, 0 sales. So this is, I mean, I could have left it out, and it would be, in a way, a better story. You would have had a better impression of me, but I wanted to be honest and show it to you. Yeah, that's 0.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like 1 or something.
I don't know, the design of everything iTunes Connect related. Have you guys seen the iTunes Connect the app? It's the most ugly app I have. Anyway, that's the sales. So, yeah, these are the things I learned. It's very hard. It's very hard. Yeah, like, no, actually, I'm having a lot of fun, but it's just hard. And I figure if I keep on trying and doing this and sustaining myself with freelance projects, eventually I'll learn, probably. We'll see. So more closing remarks. This is the first thing I never expected to be helped so much on Twitter and on my blog. Like, I did it just for fun and just to see what would happen, and like, I got really, really impressive. And as I said, doing it publicly, making a public commitment to build this app in 4 weeks and get it out has a lot of benefits, at least for somebody like me who's not a perfectionist, and well, obviously also for perfectionists. It really pushes you and it forces you to make good stuff if you're not naturally do that. And it's a lot of fun, of course. Well, I can give a quick demo. If it fits on the screen. Yeah. So then you can see the app. So, so that's another thing. So I told you about the price, like $4, and then on Hacker News, a lot of people commented that it's too expensive, and I would buy it if it would be cheaper because I have to think about this. Okay, so you can see my super secret passcode.
Super secret,
One. That's no, but I changed the price to be $2 now. So we'll see what happens. Because it's all for me, all a big experiment. So you can add your meetup, and you can say like, okay, I met John, and if the person is not on the list, there's a nice gray plus button here, which you cannot see. It's very visible on the phone though, don't worry. So you can click on the person and then add some text. This is nice guy. You press done, and then it shows it here, and then if you go to the person, like I said, it expands all the text. And one thing I added, which is not in the App Store, but in the new version I'm going to release, is a feedback form, which I can definitely recommend. It's nice to have to allow your users to get feedback. It can make your app better. Okay, so that's really all I have to say. If you want to get in touch, it's easy. Here it is. And if there are any questions, shoot. Yes.
Did you already have a blog audience before you started?
Yes, I started blogging in, I think, July or September. August or September, I mean. And I got featured on Hacker News a couple times. I don't know why, because I'm only starting out. Said to me like, it's like you're always here. Do you ever go out? And I did go out for food and like at night, but during the day I was working. It was hard, but nice and warm.
You cannot work 8 hours per day.
Yeah, I could like sometimes even more, and sometimes I would just enjoy like a museum or something. But I guess on average 8 hours a day. Yeah.
Were you alone?
Yes, I was traveling alone. Yeah, that helped.
And you didn't have any problem to concentrate, or you didn't feel in another state of mind different than when you were?
No, not really, because I was already really, doing it publicly helps. It feels weird, but I didn't have problems concentrating most of the time, like sometimes, yeah. Yes.
A personal goal, what were you expecting from this experience? Because you now explained the technical and the emotional process, but what were you expecting from yourself before starting this process?
Okay. So the first app I built, I had a hard time. I wasn't sure if people wanted it, and on the other hand, I had a hard time selling it. So I figured if I do it publicly, then I can help people, but also people will know that I'm building this, and they will see it and maybe buy it, because I will probably get some comments. At least that's what I expected. It will be better for it, but I didn't have any big experience. I'm experimenting a lot. It's a big experiment, but maybe I should have set better goals before my next experiment.
No, I mean, probably your goal was to have goal, but I'm just curious about this. I mean, not the tweeting process or everything, just what were you willing to learn or
summarizing everything except for the coding.
Yeah, exactly. Like what was the human side of doing this process of 4 weeks writing one app?
What was the unit? I'm not sure how to answer that.
Well, you don't have an answer. Okay, but I found very curious this prospect that you went through, like say, I'm going to make an app and sell it and do the website, everything in 4 weeks. I found it very, and in Spain also.
Why did you go to Spain?
It's like
Yes.
and in the south of Spain, so
Yeah.
I just found it very interesting. Train of thought.
Why did I go to Spain?
I think it's in response to his question. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's very nice. You should all go.
Did you have problems with getting internet there? I mean, I was in Portugal trying to do the same thing, but it was very costly. It's like you really need to look up stuff and information on the net.
Yes, I had a really hard time upgrading Xcode. Like seriously, if you have a flaky internet connection, don't do it because the downloading it took a long time, and then it finally downloaded and it started Xcode and it didn't show the new version. And you probably all noticed that you have to start the installer from the applications. Although that took me a long time to figure out. I don't know why. I'm not that smart. But yeah. Apart from that, I did mostly everything just. Yeah, I flaked the internet, but it wasn't a problem because you have Xcode documentation and like if I want to look something up, I can always look in an older project or I don't know. And it's completely an offline application, so that helps. If I wanted to write a Twitter client, it would be a lot harder. Yes.
Yeah, you said the input from the people and your readers was very important. So I would think, and you said you were planning to do more projects in the future. So I thought from that, wouldn't it be more interesting to
Yes, except for that it's very hard to get the big audience. It's sort of like a chicken and egg problem, I think.
even if it's cheap or if it's free or?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I lowered the prices, and I guess for my next application, because what somebody said to me, which I should have put it in the presentation. Somebody said to me on Hacker News, this is horrible. You should have made it free and put ads in the app, and then make people buy them for $1 or $2. You make a lot more money. And this was a guy who was making a lot of money selling iPhone apps. So I think I'm going to try that.
Yeah, I was thinking from what you would like to get out of this project and for your own experience. And
Yes.
because you said that you did it just for fun.
Yes. And maybe I'll make money.
When you get public help, why did you charge money? It's not contradictory, but there is something more in the security. Like you gather public help. You probably also post, if you help me, yeah, this app is going to be paid anyway, just to let you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't. Immediately at the start, I probably said somewhere at least I'm going to charge money, and I wasn't hiding that from people. It's completely obvious as an independent app developer to charge money, and I'm helping them. Like what I did is I documented the whole process, so people who would never build an iPhone app before or are not a developer, they can now read it and see how you can do it. So I think that's very helpful in a way.
That's right. But as that comment that you get, I also think that it's more in the spirit of selling free to be more successful, maybe also because.
Yes, but then
probably.
I mean, eventually, I'm trying to make money selling my own apps, so I have to charge.
I have the publicity.
I thought it could also be an investment for yourself to learn, because you said that people are so important.
Right.
To learn and to know what can I do for the next app.
Yeah, maybe.
But also as a nice wraparound, because you really remark I went to Spain, I was developing like that. It sounds like a very self-discovering developer process.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly you're like, I'm for you. So that's probably the part that is probably complex to feel, at least for
Okay, there's one person I know. I didn't ask for feedback. I didn't get feedback yet, except for this one person, and he likes it, and he wants search. So I'm gonna build that, and I want search too. So that's good. And I bought my own app, of course. So I'm not sure if it counts. But so one thing as a customer. I can think as a customer, but not at the same time as a developer. One thing as a customer that I want is have a Mac app, because I can enter like short notes on my iPhone, but then I want to sync it over iCloud and be able to make full notes on my Mac. And that would be a nice way to deal with, or to learn the iCloud syncing and Cordata on the Mac, and then maybe use Chameleon. So, yeah, that's.
Chris, if I may add something, maybe one of the things you could think about is how to promote your app there. Because
Yes.
even if you type in Met on iPhone, you have to drill down a couple of pages, and somewhere it's very good to see Met.
Yes.
Sometime on a couple of weeks and try to make them know about it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yes, I'm thinking about it, but it's yeah, it's hard. But I completely agree. Very valid.